connected consumer. Hi, I'm Chris White.
And I'm Rosie Alpino, and we are the hosts of Parks Associates' podcast, The Connected Consumer.
This podcast is all about Parks Associates' data-driven market insights on emerging consumer technology products and services, and it features our talented analyst team along with industry leaders who bring new and innovative products to market.
Throughout this podcast, you'll get an inside look at the latest industry trends, focus on the connected consumer, home automation and security, energy management, connected health and independent living, and digital content and video services.
In this episode, we will listen in on an interactive panel from a recent session of our Connections virtual series, which is our executive conference event focused on connected and IoT devices.
The topic is the promise of the smart home. Moderating this panel is our VP of Research, Jennifer Kent, and the panelists include leaders from established brands in the smart home as they discuss control and UI consumer preferences, trends in interoperability and standards, and partnership alignments that drive ecosystem compatibility for an ever-growing array of products.
The voices you will hear come from Aaron Emigh, the CEO and co-founder of Brilliant, Scott Harkins, the Vice President of Sales and Channel Marketing at Resideo, Steve Herbert, a Director of Global Business Development at Samsung, Raman Sidhu, the VP of Product at Xfinity Home and Connectivity, and Wilco van Hugstraten, the Director at Corvo, and of course our own Jennifer Kent. It was a great session, so I hope you enjoy it.
Okay, great. We are ready to launch into our full panel discussion now. I'm so pleased to be inviting a whole array of industry experts from perspectives really across the industry to talk about this key topic of platforms and providing a fantastic user experience in the smart home. So I'm going to ask each of our panelists to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about your organization. And we're going to go ahead and start with Aaron from Brilliant. Hi, Aaron.
Hello.
How are you today? Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me. So Brilliant is the user experience layer for smart home technology. We make an in-wall smart home control, goes right into the wall of your house, unifies all of the different smart home devices that you might have, and provides touch and voice control for them. We go to market both in retrofit and in residential new construction, both single family and multifamily.
Fantastic. And Aaron, you're the CEO at Brilliant. Don't know that we mentioned that, so I just want to make sure your role here is clear, and thanks so much for being with us. Okay, next we have Scott Harkins, who's the Vice President of Sales and Channel Marketing with Resideo. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for having me today. Hi, everybody. My name is Scott Harkins. I lead sales and marketing organization for Resideo. Resideo is now 3 years old, 3 years and 2 weeks since we became a public company after spinning out of Honeywell. Our products go to market under the brands of Resideo, Honeywell Home, and a few others in the marketplace. And we're really focused on 5 primary areas, what I call networks within the home. The air network, we do zoning controls and comfort controls and IAQ within the home. The water network, we are a significant player in those parts of the world where water is a primary means for heating or cooling the home, as well as leaks and shutoff valves and other things that will protect against water damage. We play in the energy space via both a demand response software aggregator, but also we use energy and the way energy interacts with products and equipment in the home to determine what might be going on with those products and do predictive maintenance and predictive failure. We also play in the security space where we're a large manufacturer of security equipment connected back to our AlarmNet and Total Connect software infrastructures. And finally, we offer services out to the world, including everything from cellular communications that our systems might be connected to. We transmit alarms, we do energy management, filter replenishment, and several other services that pros offer to their consumers. And finally, we play in really 4 channels, what I call the trade channel, which is HVAC professional contractors, the security channel with security dealers. We make products that go into other people's products in our OEM channel. So if you have gas-powered water heater, it probably has our controller on it. and we play in the retail market where we do offer some products for sale in those channels. Our products end up going into about 150 million homes, and over 8 million of those homes are currently connected. So again, very happy to be here. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Scott. And thanks for giving us the real full picture of all the places that Resideo is across this market. That's fantastic. Next, we have Steve Herbert. Steve is the Director of Global Business Development with Samsung. Hi, Steve.
Hi, thank you, Jennifer, and thanks for Parks and Associates for the opportunity to be with you today. A little bit about Samsung SmartThings. SmartThings has come a long way since its humble startup origins. The SmartThings app and cloud now power all Samsung connected products, including our #1 selling TVs and appliances, and offer tens of millions of SmartThings users a unified one app experience to operate their homes that integrates with over 5,000 devices from over 200 brands. If you have any of those 5,000 devices, you can download our free app on iOS or Android and begin automating those devices right away. You might even already have our app on your Samsung mobile device. This year, we turned the smart home world on its head a bit with new capabilities to manage energy and air quality in the home. And we've been leaders in the formation of the Matter standard, which will make it even easier for devices to work together to make our lives a little bit better. So thanks again for this opportunity. I'm excited to be with you today.
Thanks, Steve. Glad to have you with us as well. Next, we have Raman Sidhu, who's the VP of Product, Xfinity Home and Connectivity for Comcast. Hi, Raman. How are you?
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to all the participants here today. And just a quick overview. So for those who don't know, Xfinity Home, well, within Comcast, Xfinity is our consumer services. So we have Xfinity Broadband, we have our video service, our mobile, as well as home. So home is about security. It's about protection. It's about keeping the people in places you care about safe. And to do that, we serve with our professional monitored home security. We also have self-monitored security solutions with our video camera platform. And integrated into that, I know we're going to be talking about it a little bit later today, but we have a whole host of partners that are included and ingested into those experiences, whether you're a pro-monitored security customer who's getting everything from our security panels, security sensors with our professional monitoring, or our self-monitored customers who are having our camera products to keep an eye on their home. So again, really excited, really thankful to be here and looking forward to speaking to you all today.
Great, thank you. And finally, we also have Wilco from Qorvo. Wilco, welcome. Please tell us a little bit about Qorvo and about your role there.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Very looking forward to the discussion. Qorvo is probably not a household name for a lot of you, but we have a very broad RF portfolio, all the way from LTE and 5G in smartphones and general mobile connections, all the way to very high powered radar amplifiers with very high power and very high bandwidth that go all the way in the things like NORAD radar and fighter jets. For the smart home, which is probably your main interest, we have a lot of Wi-Fi content in a lot of products, as well as we do BLE, Zigbee, Thread, Matter type of solutions. And recently we have added a UWB portfolio. We expect is going to be very big in the smart home as well. So I think the previous speakers have talked a little bit about voice and different opinion on whether it's going to be the main interface or not. I think we believe voice is very important, but there is opportunities, I think, elsewhere as well. And UWB is a great example of something that can add location and angle to a user interface to add more opportunities for control in your home. So I work mainly in the smart home in marketing, and Matter is one of my main topics here. So looking forward to talking about that. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, with that, appreciate all of you being here, and let's go ahead and jump right in. So, you heard me earlier probably point to the fact that most of the smart home devices in consumers' homes are acquired, oftentimes one-off at retail or online, but certainly security platforms, systems with hubs are also very important first step into the home. And there is certainly growing interest in smart home platforms. So considering kind of the two methods of the home, what is the value of the platform to end users? And, maybe how is that platform play evolving as the smart home market evolves? And I'd love to start with Raman there.
Sure. Thank you, Jennifer. And I think, David earlier said it pretty spot on, is that, there are point solutions, and consumers are buying point solutions today. They are buying point solutions because they don't wake up in the morning and say, now all of a sudden I want to have a smart home. There's a pain point, there's an experience that causes them to go out and add something, causes them to either add a security system, causes them to add a doorbell or a camera or a smart lock or a thermostat or garage door opener. The list goes on. There are use cases like, I want my things delivered. I want to know when my kids come home. I want to allow the dog walker into the home. So again, what I'm getting at is a little bit, the point solutions are how consumers are buying, because they want to build their home over time. Their smart home is going to be built what I call brick by brick. But it's important to note that eventually they're going to have so many of these bricks that they need to be connected in a way. They need to operate together, because people don't want to jump around between 5 different apps on their phone to do different things. And I know Parks research shows that interoperability in a one app solution is something that is very important to consumers. So I think the interoperability to ensure that when consumers are buying upfront, that they know that it can be integrated into some element of a platform, whether that be your security service or your voice platform, that there is interoperability is critical. At Xfinity and with Comcast, what we're doing at Xfinity Home is really trying to find those interoperability points that kind of add more than just the device by itself. So, it's more than just controlling a lock or controlling a light within the app. It's saying, from my video screen, when I'm looking at my camera, can I control the smart lock? Can I control the light bulb directly from that screen? So if someone's coming home, can I lock the door, unlock the door? Can I turn on the front porch light as that person is approaching or is ringing the doorbell, for example? So I think those are the magical points where things are just going to work seamlessly and integrate really well. But we're going to pick and choose those things. We're going to be a little bit more selective about what we're doing, because we know that interoperability and that connection point is hard. So to do that, we really want to make just a few things more special for our customers.
Yeah, I'd love to follow up on that. So obviously, if someone's coming to Comcast, right, for an Xfinity Home solution, they're maybe already in that platform mindset, right? Like they're not going to retail to buy something off the shelf. Can you talk a little bit more about what you're finding from your own customers about, why they're coming to you as a provider of smart home? If there's anything unique about that customer, or really what they're looking for out of you.
Yeah, I mean, at its core, like I said at the beginning, we serve, the protection market for professional monitored home security, self-monitoring. Those are things where customers are kind of at the totem pole of value. I think that's where security and peace of mind that comes along with security is what comes first. And then consumers are then adding on these experiences like lights, locks, thermostats, et cetera, that build onto that. So consumers are coming to us and finding, starting with the use case of the security and then building from that after the fact, rather than the other way around where some are starting with, a smart lock and then trying to find the platform that works with their smart lock, for example.
Mm-hmm. So Steve, same question for you from Samsung's perspective. How is the platform play in the smart home evolving? Obviously, Samsung's really been, a key player in this, from SmartThings hubs and sort of transitioning into more of a software strategy. Love to hear your thoughts on the platform approach right now.
Well, I work with builders and developers each day, and I think the standard in single-family home building for the last couple of years has just been to put some standalone devices in the home, maybe connect it with a voice assistant. And what we've been doing is we've been looking to develop much richer experiences for the users and to attract builders to our platform that way. So, I mean, I think the way to think of us is the conductor of an orchestra, right? And it's not just about the ease with which you can control a device, but it's about having the home operate effortlessly and autonomously on its own. And we think that's the true value of the platform. Yes, it's a one-app experience. That's absolutely better than a 6-app experience. But it's also about the automation. And the way that we're taking this is not just having the best automation and control platform, but then adding services on top of that add value in specific areas like energy management, and make that particularly easy for the end user. You know, we've heard about these two sides of things. Do we add more capabilities? Do we make it easier? And the answer with us at SmartThings is we're trying to do both. We're trying to enable the power user through a very complex rules engine, and we're trying to help your average everyday mass market consumer just do things quickly and easily.
So I love the Samsung perspective, because you're one of the few brands that not only plays in smart home, of course, but has maybe an even bigger footprint when you think of consumer mindshare in entertainment and appliances, you know, smart or not smart, right? And so you can kind of see outside of the smart home core, right? And how things can plug together. And the reality is that these ecosystems have developed very much in silos. Entertainment is still very, very separate from how smart homes kind of been developed and who's talking to each other. So can you give us a little insight into how Samsung thinks about connecting these different pieces of really what's in consumers' homes? I don't think consumers necessarily think about these different pieces of their homes, right? It's just their home and there's stuff in it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it doesn't hurt to have to be the top TV and appliance seller in the US, right? But our products are designed first and foremost to be very innovative products. Like, if you look at our Family Hub refrigerator, this is a product that does just about everything but cook the meal for you. And you know, there's definitely a lot of value we can add by enabling that to interact with other products. For instance, you know, if someone were to ring your Ring doorbell, that would appear on your TV or your Family Hub refrigerator, allowing you to answer the doorbell, talk to them through your TV or your refrigerator. And so, you know, what we're doing is we're enabling even richer experiences because of the products that we make. And we have that level of control, which is a really nice thing for us. And it allows us to move the ball forward with regard to smart home technology, you know, with very innovative products that can kind of break the standard and create a new one. I mean, it gives us an advantage over some of our other appliance manufacturers. You know, their app would be the app that controls their appliances. Our app is an app that controls your entire home. And that gives us an advantage. So that's in a nutshell the way that we look at the market.
Yep. Well, Wilke, let me bring you into the discussion here. You know, when you think about what your technology and approach can do, are there certain pain points that you're trying to solve for the consumer and their user experience? What are you really focused on addressing in the smart home?
We try to address what I like to say very much as just works and keeps working. So bring a product in your home and it works wherever you put it, right? Whether it's a noisy environment or whether it's further away. So performance for us is very important. Battery lifetime is great, right? So you don't have to go replace the batteries all the time. Those are very important basic facts that we don't talk about very much, but are very important for us to give to our customers to build into their product. But it's also, you know, just works in that you can buy any product and it work in your ecosystem, right? And this is very much where I think the platform play is very important, and where it's important that interoperability between platforms is solved somewhere at the lower layer, that you know, you don't have to buy brand X when you already have one other brand X in the thing, or it won't work. One of the main problems today of I think it came up in the first presentation, people not always being sure that they can buy something and it will work. I mean, that's something that we really want to solve. And the second part, keeps working. We really don't want to build something that is defunct, right? A couple of years from now. I mean, I think the smart home has been successful, but probably not as successful as we all hoped it would be or expected it would be. And partly it's been because some of the early startups folded, right? And people were left with a lot of products that didn't work anymore. And so for us, it's very important that we build product that works with what is there opportunity and give our product companies and customers the opportunity that it keeps working. So 5 years from now, it will probably looks very different, but our product should be upgradable in the field to do whatever is then the basic fact.
Yeah, I think that that's so important, and trying to communicate through to consumers when something is upgradable, right? Or that give them confidence that that device can be in their home for a long time. The last time before I brought a smart lock and bought a traditional lock, the point was that it was going to be in my home for a decade, right? And I wasn't going to try and change it out all the time. With a smart lock, do I want to have to be buying a new lock every few years? Certainly, we see that as an issue. Well, actually, let me follow up on something that you mentioned in your opening comments about ultra wideband technology and the different types of radio communications that you're looking to support. Is there some sort of specific use case or reason that you're looking, to UWB as far as the opportunities that can provide to end users or product manufacturers?
Yeah, so I think our goal at Qorvo is to have an experience where you don't necessarily, as a product company, or as an end customer, have to choose. And BLE fits in that picture, as well as Matter, right, and even Zigbee, because it has such a large installed base. We like all those to play together. And UWB is a new way of interacting with a phone, or do location, or have a user interface that is not necessarily what you have today. So we talked about voice. It's a great user interface for a lot of things, but not great for everything. And UWB, we believe has the opportunity to be something similar, but at a different angle. I think the door lock example is a great example. UWB brings the opportunity to be much more secure, much more fine-grained control of your door lock with a phone you already have in your pocket. Where most door locks today are BLE based, and you have to be a little careful if you're too close with your phone, or you leave it in the wrong place, maybe it unlocks by geofencing not quite at the right thing. UWB doesn't have that negative, so it gives you a way to detect something close and do something. And we see that first tier one product companies are now integrating UWB in their smart home products as well. So not just door locks, but smart speakers and other products. And they're adding use cases that may feel a little strange now, but we believe have great opportunity. Point your phone at a smart speaker and do something with it, right? Or point your phone at a TV and immediately the voice control comes up, so you don't have to reach for your remote control without having to pull up the app. Right? There's a lot of opportunities that tight control of location and angle, what you're pointing at, point and shoot, will give there. And the enrichment of the user interface in the smart home is something I think that we should all really care about, because we need to make the smart home smart, right, and not dumb. And voice should not be the only control point. We should really keep adding these type of ways that more people are more going forward.
Fantastic. Thanks for expanding on that, on your thinking there. Aaron, I want to make sure I bring you into the conversation as well here. And just to the audience, I'm about to reference the first polling question. So if you haven't had a chance to put your opinions into the polling tab, please do so. But Aaron, talk a little bit about Brilliant. Why do your customers, come to you? What are they looking for primarily, right, in going through a solution like Brilliant?
Yeah, I think we all know that in the future, all homes are going to be smart, in the same way that today all cars are smart. They have computers built into them. You only buy a smartphone. You're only going to buy a smart house in the future as well. But for that to happen, there are three things that really need to change. And three qualities of the user experience that have to be there, because the user experience is really the missing piece in making that possible. So first, you have to unify every device that people have in the house or want to have in the house. That means a single user experience that unifies together everything, whether it's a doorbell, whether it's music, whether it's locks, whether it's climate, whatever category it is. And that also includes the ability for people to bring their own device. I think that's a very key portion of this, because you don't always know a priori what everybody is going to want in their home. Second, it has to be accessible to everyone. And this is really a key, because it means, for example, that a mobile app is not the user experience of smart technology in the home of the future. It has to be something that you can just walk into the home and use it regardless of who you are. You might be a techno enthusiast, or you might be an average homeowner, or even a Luddite. You might be a child that doesn't have a smartphone yet. You might be a house guest. You have to be able to walk into it and use it. Imagine if you needed a bunch of mobile apps on your phone in order to use a car. You had one for the infotainment system, and you had one for the backup camera, and you had one for the engine management, and so on and so on. Nobody would want that car. And that's where we are right now with the home. And then finally, it has to be something that practically can go into every home, which means it has to be at a price point where it doesn't cost tens of thousands of dollars to make your home truly smart. It has to be very easy to configure and to install. It has to be very easy to continue to own and to manage. And so I think, to answer your question directly, why people come to us, come to Brilliant for this, it's because we make a technology that is universally accessible, unifies everything together, and does so at a price point and a cost and complexity of ownership that makes it suitable for every home.
So we asked a similar kind of question to the audience about what consumer experience is most likely to drive the wider adoption of systems and platforms over endpoint solutions. The number one answer looks like, oh, there's a tie. So frustration with interoperability issues, 35% picked frustration. Of course, it wasn't multi-select, they had to pick one. So frustration with interoperability issues and quest for convenience of ease of use, number 1 and 2. After that, the attraction of added value-added features of systems, right, that might be able to be offered. And fewer people selected just the general increase of number of devices owned or the affordability of systems and associated services. So certainly interoperability and quest for convenience. Aaron, any response to that finding the poll?
Yeah, I don't think it's it's surprising, and I think that people see the most immediate pain points first, right? Right now, you're having a problem just connecting things, so the connectivity layer really stands out. But the user experience layer is ultimately the thing that provides the value and that opens the door for every home to be smart, where it's not something that you need to be a technology enthusiast to appreciate and to use. The dirty secret of smart home is that with most smart home products, there's one person in the house who loves it and everybody else who sort of tolerates it. And that has to change. It has to come to a point where everybody in the home is getting the full benefit of the smart technology across the board, because there are real benefits. And I think that people recognize that. They just get frustrated in trying to figure out how to make them all work together. So I think that's the big problem for our industry to solve right now. And that's certainly what Brilliant is focused on solving.
Great. I love the third response here too, about the ability to add additional features or really even services, right? I'd love to turn to Scott here with Resideo to focus a little bit more on the opportunity for professional services here, and especially, building on or correlated to the sort of systems or platform play. Obviously, Resideo has tight relationships with the HVAC and the security dealer channel. What's the opportunity for professional services right now?
Yeah, so let me just reference Aaron's comment for a minute. If the belief is that all homes will be smart one day and that's just what we'll be buying, I think the counter to that is that means DIY is not likely the thing that gets us there for a lot of different reasons. So often the DIY solution or the point solution that's purchased by a homeowner today is a novelty item. It's cool. It's on a wall. It has an app. They can control it that way. And 2 years later, they have 5 apps controlling 5 different things that don't work together. A common theme of every presentation today has been interoperability. I firmly believe that the pro is the organization, the professional HVAC contractor, the plumber, the security dealer is the distributor or the person that can bring it together for the consumer. Aaron also referenced smart car. I have a Jeep at home. I love my Jeep. It is 2 years old. It has cameras front and back. Everything that can possibly be monitored in that car is monitored. Everyone in my family that drives it knows how to drive it, knows how to use it. Very simple to use. And it is much more advanced in terms of a vehicle than most of the homes that my friends own. The home being the largest single investment most people will ever make is still the last frontier for connectivity and bringing smartness to it. I think the best way to do that is the pro. I think the vehicle, my Jeep is that way because Jeep got to pick the products, got to test those products, got to bring them into an integrated system and make sure they work. And any professional contractor or security dealer in the market has to be able to do the same. They can't figure it out on a job site. They have to know before they sit at the kitchen table with the homeowner that it's going to work when it's installed. So they've tested it. They know it will work. They know it won't create service calls. And they know they'll likely create a happy consumer and a happy customer. They also learn that they can unlock the unknown values that maybe a DIY product can't. Those unknown values or unlocked values are things like we all know and probably experience for ourselves. Home security monitoring 24/7, 365 is probably in the smart home the most obvious recurring revenue piece, but there are so many others. There are automated filter replenishment. Your HVAC system knows when your air filter is dirty and should be able to just get you one. So you don't have to worry about buying a $6 air filter down at Home Depot. It just shows up. All of these wireless devices that go throughout your home have batteries in them. Those batteries will all fail. Auto replenishment is an easy opportunity to create an ongoing relationship with your consumer if you're a pro. Energy services, not only helping homeowners create a more sustainable living environment where they save money and maybe drive a greener lifestyle, but also predicting failure on their HVAC system by monitoring their energy circuits, the power circuits. We can do that today. And these are all services that I don't believe a DIY solution will be able to bring, and that the pro is very uniquely positioned. Again, I think the professional HVAC player, the professional security dealer, as they go into the home, they can tell the story like no DIY player can. They can bring a unified solution that they know works, and then they can create these extra value, these extra services on top, just like the feedback to your poll says. So we really do believe the pro is in the right captain seat to win this space.
We do see a lot of interest in our consumer survey work around a lot of the services that you just mentioned, replenishment, but even more so for proactive maintenance, detection, and if you've ever had to put the investment down to replace your HVAC system, right? I mean, that is an investment. And so there's a sort of ROI, I think, consideration for consumers of, okay, I understand that proactive maintenance and monitoring makes sense. But it's certainly really low adoption of those types of services. I think there's probably an awareness issue, and you don't replace your HVAC every day. Can you speak at all to how aware the HVAC dealers are of their ability to offer these types of services? Is there still a lot of education that's happening in that channel? And then how do you get the end user aware that these types of technologies and great services are available?
Sure. So the challenge is there are 80,000 HVAC contractors across the U.S. 80,000. If you drove to the store this morning or tomorrow or this weekend, you will pass dozens of HVAC vans. Some of them are very large, very sophisticated companies that are looking to transform their businesses, and some of them aren't. So getting 80,000 contractors on board is a lot of work. The technology that does this is new. The technology that Resideo sells is something we call Pro IQ, which is a result of an acquisition we did a couple of years ago with a company called Lifeware. But the services are there. The sophisticated companies are looking to transform what a service agreement might be. Today, a service agreement is usually a $300 annual fee where you roll a truck twice a year, change filters, check the system, maybe clean the HVAC system out, pull the leaves out of the fan, those kind of things. And all of a sudden, 2 truck rolls, $300 is gone. I think a significantly improved service agreement would be, I will monitor your HVAC system 24/7, 365, and I'll roll a truck before something fails, not wait for catastrophic failure when the next polar vortex swings through or when the 2-week heat wave hits. So we have to train the HVAC world. We have to engage them with our security partners as well. We think there's incredible partnerships there that can bear real fruit. And we have to teach and help them sell to the consumer to make the consumer aware. The power of the channel, 80,000 contractors out in the home every single day, is an absolutely massive number of consumer interactions that we think we can bring the consumer, make the consumer aware, and bring them along for the journey.
Fantastic. Thanks for expanding on that. Raman, I'd love to bring you into this conversation as well around professional services and sort of the shift in consumer desires. We see a ton of interest right now in DIY, right? Especially in the security space. People either self-monitoring or self-installing. Xfinity Home now does offer sort of a hybrid or a variety of ways to use the Xfinity Home service. And then also, of course, Comcast has a service provider arm, pay TV, right? You're kind of everywhere, mobile now. How do you think about the opportunity for value-added services, additional professional revenues? Is it install? Is it premium support? Is it, where are you looking to play and kind of add value on top of the system itself?
Sure. Yeah. And to build on what Scott said earlier, I think that the value of the technician on the professional install side is very important for a segment of the population. As we look at the market and from Parks and others, when we look at kind of our consumer feedback, is that choice is really important. DIY growth over not just the last 18 months during the pandemic, but even before that, consumers are more willing to tinker, more willing to spend time, more willing to install things exactly how they want to be installed, rather than waiting for a technician or scheduling someone or a professional installer to come over. So I think choice is going to be really critical in this space, and to provide segment-driven opportunities for some are going to need more of our traditional customers who are going to want the professional install, and then some that are going to want to do it themselves. So I think that's going to be really critical. 2, when we think about kind of service, Xfinity is a service-driven company. It's service model for video, mobile, internet, home, landline, etc. Like that is our business model. So for us, it's about the monitoring service is at the core. For professional monitoring or self-monitoring video recording and AI and ML-driven video experiences, that's what really we want to be in the game for. The installation portion of that is the consumer choice, right? And I think that's where our direction of travel is going to be, is to have both professional and self-installable solutions for our customers going forward. In addition, we've have partnerships, with other companies to help us in case customers want installs and services for things that we do not do. So, we have a partnership with Helotech, where they do installation services for things that our technicians don't do, like hanging TVs or fishing wire behind walls. There's certain elements where, we're not going to do it all for our customers, and let the folks who are more specialized to do those come into the home and do that at a much better rate and a much better timeline for our customers.
Fantastic. Well, we are actually getting quite a few questions in from the audience, so I'm going to take a few now, and then we'll get back into our conversation. So we did have a question specifically come in for you, Steve, with Samsung. Wondering about if you could talk a little bit about the future of Bixby and Tizen and even Samsung Wear OS watches within kind of home automation, right? So Again, Samsung has such a footprint in the home and different operating systems that are created for uniquely for some of these different use cases. How do they fit into that home automation picture?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're an innovation company, and sometimes we have to innovate, we have to create our own capabilities to make sure that we are fulfilling that role. And as the standards become available, or as other options dominate the landscape, we make it a point to integrate with those. So whether you're using Bixby or you're using, let's say, an Alexa or Google Home, for us, it's about the experience of the user and making sure that they're able to do the things that they're looking to do. So while we might create a technology to solve a problem and to create a great experience, we also sort of recognize that our chief role is to please our customers and to create great experiences for them. And so we'll continue to transition and innovate as needed to do that.
Okay, great. Thanks for taking that question. The next one's really open to anybody, but Wilco, actually, I'm going to direct it to you first. I'm thinking you might have a hot take on this. So, but anybody can jump in. Do you have any opinions on Cat-M technology and use cases for how it might be deployed, particularly in the smart home?
Yeah, sure. So Cat-M is a technology, right? Just like Wi-Fi or Zigbee or Matter, which currently primarily is driven that it can be roaming, right? So just like a mobile phone, Cat-M is a node that is working on cellular infrastructure, may work across the world if you have the right provider, and can ask a premium for the service it can offer because it can roam across the world. For smart home, we certainly believe there could be some use cases. We believe they're pretty niche because smart home, by definition, is going to have some type of internet access already, and there's not much of a roaming content there, right? So I think Cat-M can really, or NB-IoT, big role to play in things that may go around the smart home, pet trackers, something that Amazon is also trying to address with Sidewalk, but maybe not so much inside the home itself, at least not for the majority of the features you're trying to use, or the maturity of the type of services you're going to use in your home.
What do you think about the idea? So I think the most compelling use case that I've heard for cellular generally in the smart home, right, given that it's much higher cost compared to other connectivity standards, is around healthcare and connected health. You have a managed service with quality assurance. There is not downtime. There's not necessarily plug and play and issues with pairing with people's home networks, right? And so when you have a use case where it's life or death situation, and where you really want to take the user and the user's ability to maybe interfere in some negative way with setup or functioning of a connected device in the home, right? Health would be a really nice use case for cellular. Does anybody have a opinion on that? Or
I mean, I'll jump in, and
Sure.
Not healthcare related, but I mean, on the security side, we use cellular for backup for our services today. We are a broadband company. And so broadband is where most of our traffic is deployed for our security services as well as our video services. But we have, cellular backup. There are times when broadband is going to go down. Those are the unexpected events that happen, power outages, et cetera, where your broadband is down. And so cellular provides that backup, that consistent connectivity to ensure the safety and security of our customers. So absolutely believe that cellular does have a place in IoT, in the smart home. But I think, to your point, Wilco, it is going to be more niche. It is going to be more very use case driven. I think healthcare and the if there's any home health or diagnostics and things that are being used, I think that's spot on. I think those are other similar life and death use cases that can leverage cellular in an effective way.
Great, thanks for that.
Jennifer, just one more comment. We do. I haven't talked about it here today. But we do have a small remote patient monitoring solution in market. And to your point, it's 100% cellular. So all of that connectivity is cellular because of, typically the state of the patient's not great and there can't be a lot of time for setting up. Certainly all security systems, nearly 100% of them are now have some cellular radio included with them. But we also see there are still an awful lot of locations that don't have broadband, and low-income housing, as an example, doesn't have broadband. And there's opportunities with utilities and energy providers to help optimize the energy usage there if you could only get connectivity. NB-IoT is one way to do that, we think, in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing those thoughts as well. So I'd love to turn to the second polling question, which is about Matter. Obviously, a big industry initiative, which has a lot of support from some of the companies here represented as well. So we asked the audience here, what's their company's approach to Matter right now, taking a wait and see approach, already participating and supporting the standard and involved, right? With there's lots of working groups. It's an open standard, right, happening right now, and people are building out their products actively. And then no plans to incorporate the Matter standard. So between those three options, 71% have said today that they are waiting to see how product rollouts go in 2022, and then a completely even split between already involved and no plans to be involved with Matter. So I'd love to turn to Steve and then Wilco to understand your thoughts on Matter and how you think it will, how your organizations, right, are thinking about Matter and how you think it might impact the market. So Steve, I'll start with you.
Yeah, Samsung and SmartThings have been integral to the Matter effort. We've been a leader in helping develop the standard. We think it's really important. It's definitely changes the nature of the game when it comes to the platforms and the value that we provide. When you take away that part of what we offer, if flexibility was a key to SmartThings' value proposition in the market, supporting multiple radios inside of it to create the ultimate in flexibility. Well, when Matter comes around, as it will, that advantage will no longer be quite as relevant for us. And so as a platform provider, we're very focused on what we can do to add value on top of that basic interoperability layer. And so we're introducing things like, the SmartThings services, SmartThings Energy, SmartThings Air, SmartThings Fun. All of these are capabilities that reside on top of that platform and on top of the interoperability layer, the control platform, the automation platform, and provide additional services and value. And so we, like every other platform, that will have to adapt to the Matter standard and find new ways to add value. Overall, I think it's going to be better for everybody because vendors making products will not have to spend quite as much money to support quite as many standards. And it's going to drive companies like Samsung to do even more in other areas where we no longer will be concerned with as much with the interoperability standard, but in developing new services, new capabilities, better products. So I think overall it's a win for everybody. But I understand why people are kind of taking a wait and see approach. These discussions have happened before in our industry, but I think this one is finally for good.
Great. So with that problem solved, freeing up resources and attention to innovate in new ways. That's great. Wilco, back to you from Qorvo's perspective.
Yeah, similarly, we're very excited, right? Because we have to get the smart home discussion away from, should I buy Z-Wave or should I buy Zigbee or things like that, right? I mean, that interoperability, ease of install, that's a key factor that needs to be solved. But similar to what Steve was saying, we see it as a much bigger opportunity to bring a layer between the platforms and the services they provide and the devices, right? So a services company is not necessarily a great device company. Certainly, there are certainly companies that can do both, but for biggest innovation, we've always seen that small companies can sometimes do a much bigger leap. Ecobee came by in one of the first sentences as having really a groundbreaking new thermostat, right? That was not a big company. Nest is another example of really bringing kind of learning to the home, again, as a small company. And we really look forward to Matter giving the opportunity of splitting up this platform versus distinction that currently is very tied together, right? So that a service company can roll out a service that ties into one of the bigger platforms, for instance, that is reusing things that are in your home already that use Matter, whether it's Wi-Fi or Thread or Matter over Thread, right? That becomes somewhat somewhat of a same thing, right? It's no longer so much about the technical radio protocol underneath. It really becomes about Matter, and hopefully, as I said, tying in, getting services companies kind of detached from having to build a complete device ecosystem to even play. And I think one of the ones that came up today a couple of times already is kind of this health monitoring, right, for elderly people. They may already have an Xfinity home system, and they may get from their a monitoring system X, and it would be great if that would just plug in, right, without having to do all kinds of integration level effort in an Xfinity home or something, almost like an app store for the smart home that could reuse that infrastructure that is there already. And as a third leg here, technology is keeping going, right? And as a Corvo, we're trying to make a lot of things available to our device makers, and one of them is that we're going to see a tremendous increase in compute power on the edge in the next 5 to 10 years, including on batteries. And the amount of processing power we're going to have, 2-3 years from now, that will allow this kind of advanced processing on even battery-based nodes that can tie into services that could be made available by uniformly by a platform like Matter is truly exciting for us, and something which is much more interesting for us to win business than saying, we are the only one that can do protocol X, so come to us, right? I mean, it's much more interesting for us to unlock an enormous amount of new services in the smart home by having, the right type of performance, range, and processing power and sensing capability, necessarily then relying on this protocol thing. So for us, Matter, very excited, right people involved, and certainly we hope it can really bring the smart home to this next level where, services become much more important beyond, having a device in your home.
Great, that's fantastic, and again, very future looking, and a lot of innovation that perhaps can come out of this and from new types of companies even. We do have a couple more questions from the audience that I want to make sure that we get to before we wrap up. Raman, I'm going to take this one to you. It's about something that I showed earlier in the session, which was about the rising number of technical support issues that consumers experience with their smart home devices. And so we had a question, it was back up that way. That one. So there we go. Make sure I can read the question here from my own slides here. So, so how, when you think about the rising issues with technical problems, and there may be an assumption that, if you give the consumer the opportunity to have it professionally installed or self-installed, that maybe you have more technical issues ultimately with the self-installed side, whether or not that plays out as true, I'm not sure. But how does that impact profitability for the device manufacturer or for a service provider like yourself? We know that the ISPs get called for all sorts of things that aren't their fault when it comes to the devices attached to their network, right? And people think, well, it's all the internet, right? And we're going to call Comcast for help. Can you talk about a little bit about, right, how Comcast deals with the support that needs to be there for the devices in the home and for the devices on your specific platform?
Yeah, no, you're very good question, Jennifer. And I'm glad it came up. I think that at its core, you'd hope that everything is easy to install and has no problems, but that's inevitable is going to happen. So what do we do? And I think first and foremost is that, for customers installing the devices, the DIY products, our cameras, our, door locks that are going to be part of our portfolios, et cetera, we want to make sure that the customer has the support they need to do that, whether that's in-app, really clear instructions, videos, the like. And when they do have trouble with the installation, that we provide digital ways for them to get support through Xfinity Assistant, our new AI and ML chat-based solution through our app. Consumers can kind of chat to get help. We also see that if they need a lifeline, that I mentioned earlier that we have that partnership with HelloTech, thinking about ways that we can leverage those types of partnerships in the future to leverage that as a support from an installation standpoint. When it comes to post-install and usage support, that's where we've taken the approach. If you look at our set of partners in our portfolio today, it is curated. We can't have 10,000 different smart home devices in our portfolio across lights, locks, thermostats, garage door, sprinkler, pool controller, robot vacuums, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We can't support all of those use cases because many of them are interesting. Many of them people find of value, but they're not the things that are going to move the needle with engagement with an Xfinity Home solution. So we have a more curated set of devices, and that way we can control in a much better way the support infrastructure for those partnerships and those relationships. And then finally, I think the third point is that, look, we do our best to ensure the connectivity of those devices. We are the connectivity company. We want to get the thing online and working within our experiences. But then we also work to deflect some of those calls to the manufacturers. If the customer is having an issue with a Lutron light or a Leviton light or a Kwikset or a Yale lock, et cetera, we want to have that touch point where our agents can pass the call over to a support agent from those groups, because they're the ones that are going to be in the best position to solve the product issue that comes specifically with that door lock, that light, that other smart home product.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, we just have a few minutes left. So, Aaron, I want to give you the last word. Can you talk to us about what opportunities you're really focused on right now as the smart home and your business continues to evolve into the future?
Yeah, I think Scott made a point earlier about where consumers or homeowners, renters are ultimately going to be getting smart technology from. And just like in your car, sure, you can buy an aftermarket infotainment system and you can buy an aftermarket backup camera. You can install them yourself or you can have them professionally installed. But the majority of these products come through new vehicles that are being sold. And similarly, Brilliant is working with hundreds of builders, both in single family and in multifamily, to make sure that the homes are smart from the get-go. And this is something that builders appreciate the value of. Properties will sell faster and for more money, or same thing if they're renting. But at the same time, it's been a challenge for them to have a solution that actually fits those needs, makes the home and the apartment truly smart, and does so without requiring additional infrastructure in the home and at a price point that makes it suitable for even modestly priced homes. So that's a huge opportunity there. And we've seen the emphasis go into single family residential new construction, but then also increasingly in the multifamily space, where the challenges, in addition to all of the smart technology itself, center around managing that technology at scale. If you're managing thousands or tens of thousands of rental units, you need to have a platform that allows you to manage those efficiently during deployment, during turns. But it opens up possibilities, not just for the kinds of smart capabilities we all think of, but enormous opportunities for energy savings, for loss prevention, and this kind of dovetails into the security theme as well. There are a lot of different kinds of security. There's security against theft and so on, but also security against damage, whether that's from water leaks or excessive temperatures, mold damage, a lot of different things that smart technology can forestall. So a big opportunity we see there is bringing it into new construction and into tenancy situations. And then there are a lot of new emergent areas where people live that have some special needs on top of homes, things like assisted living facilities, going into hospitality. So there are going to be a lot of new segments that I think are extremely important going forward. And then obviously a lot of different partnerships, whether it's with insurance companies, whether it's that blurring of the line between security and smart home, where they're increasingly the same thing, and in healthy buildings and so on. So there's no end of new opportunities, but we do think that first you have to really create the user experience. I shouldn't say first, because we're doing this in parallel, and the industry is moving in parallel. But it all really revolves around that creation of a user experience that is good for everybody who's in contact with the technology, and that pertains across all of these different markets.
Well, Aaron, Steve, Raman, Wilco, Scott, thank you all very much for your time and your insights today. We very much appreciate it. We really appreciate Johnson Controls for sponsoring this session. What's great is that Aaron was just ending on a point about the big opportunity to talk about to serve MDUs in a new way, and especially at the build point. Parks Associates did conduct research this year on property owners and managers in the MDU space and their current use of and desire for smart building, property tech, smart home devices. So let us know if you have any interest in seeing some of that research. You can reach out to Jason Paris, who's our VP of Business Development. And then also, if you're interested in sponsorship opportunities for connections, for Smart Energy Summit, for any of our events, as well as any support in your own thought leadership. We do custom white papers and webinars, and Ashton would be the person to reach out to at Parks Associates for more information about that.
Connected consumers, thanks for tuning in today. If you would like more information on Parks Associates executive conferences like Connections, please visit www.parksassociates.com. Please make sure to look out for our next episode, where we will have a great conversation with NXM Labs.
And as always, we want your feedback. Please feel free to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or tweet us at CWhiteInsights and at Rosie Olpino. You can also find us at Parks Associates. So please let us know what you think, reach out, stay connected. We'd love to hear what you want to hear next.